Welcome to the Rational Egoist. I'm your host, Michael Liebowitz, and with us today is an actor. He is the co-founder and chairman of the American Capitalist Party, and he is my co-host on the Capitalist Corner. Mark Pellegrino, welcome back to the show.
What's up? Great to be here. Long time no see.
Yeah, a couple hours. I want to get your take on a lot of things that you've got going on, namely the party, our show, plus you're an actor. But first, so you got the American Capitalist Party. We have the Capitalist Corner. What was your introduction to capitalism? When did you first become convinced that capitalism was the right political economic system?
I think, like so many people, Ayn Rand was my introduction to capitalism. So I used to argue with this guy who was in my theater company all the time. I was a dyed-in-the-wool leftist, environmentalist. I could not beat this guy to save my life. I decided that it was just a problem of my own inability to articulate the ideas that I knew were superior to his. So I said, let's do a book exchange. I gave him 5 books. He gave me 2, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. And then that started me reading everything that she ever wrote. And Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal was the thing that really introduced me to the fundamentals of capitalism and its moral base, and turned my mind around. I think most of us grow up, even in America, with this jaundiced perspective of what capitalism is. And we think, well, it works, but is it good? Is it moral? You know, you hear lots of folks in America saying socialism is great on paper, but it doesn't work. Capitalism is terrible on paper, but it works. No, it's quite the opposite. Capitalism is fantastic on paper, and it
You got a cat behind you.
Cats don't screw around, man. My cat knows how to open every door in the house.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
how old were you, Mark, when this happened?
Probably about 23, 24.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, so it was sort of, you know, my midlife, but it didn't really start to sink in, I'd say, until about 10 or 15 years ago. And even then it was with taking Objectivism at the Objectivist Academic Center, which is now Ayn Rand University, where I really got a chance to study Objectivism in depth, that I really started to, I guess, integrate these ideas into a more into more of my value core. Yes, I know you're hungry.
You know, that's interesting to me because I actually found capitalism, and that led me to Ayn Rand rather than the reverse. My introduction was through Milton Friedman's book, Free to Choose.
Wow.
And then I read Frederick Bastiat's The Law, and that brought me into the capitalist fold. So you read Ayn Rand and you went to the Objectivist. It's now the Objectivist University. And then at some point, I mean, you're an actor, you've been in all kinds of TV shows, movies, and then you say, well, I think I'm going to start a political party. How the hell did that come about?
Yeah, you know, I started talking to this guy, Joe Sanders, on X. And by that time, many objectivists had started to take notice of me because I was talking on X and like, oh shit, this guy actually knows objectivism and he's an actor in Hollywood. How weird, you know? So I'm like a pineapple on an orange tree, and just a total anomaly, a miracle to them. So I started talking with Joe, and we started talking about how dissatisfied everybody seemed to be with the establishment, left and right, and Democrats and Republicans were increasingly becoming indistinguishable from each other. And so we said, hey, let's start a third party. But then I was like, you know, third parties are historically just, you know, they're just spoilers. They end up getting the bad guy elected. They never really do much politically. But still, we had this phenomenon where we noticed that people just hated the left and hated the right. They skewed somewhere else that neither side could really touch. So we said, well, let's talk to Yaron Brook and see what he says. So we actually got together with Yaron. He was giving a talk, and after the talk, we went downstairs and had coffee together. And we're like, hey, we want to start this party. What do you think? He's like, well, it's probably not going to work, but go ahead, do it. Do whatever you want. That's you're on. And that's what any probably objectivist would say. Well, it's probably not going to work, but go ahead. It's good to have the ideas out there. So we commissioned Andy Bernstein to write a platform for us. And here's what I thought. I thought, well, we'd get the platform, we'll buy the domains for it, and it'll be out there as an island of sanity in a sea of craziness. And somebody at the grassroots level is going to pick it up and do all the groundwork that you have to do to get a candidate on the ballot. Well, of course, that never happened. So I was hoping to leave a legacy to the world that the world would then pick up and take on its own, but of course it didn't. So fortunately for us, for the Capitalist Party, Ariana Sneath and Alex Sneath are two politically savvy folks who have run campaigns in the past, are super, super smart, know all the rules of the Federal Election Commission, and also all the tax obligations that go along with starting a real political party. And they asked me one day if I was serious about the party. I said, sure, I actually am, but I really don't have time as an actor to do the grassroots work that needs to be done to spread this thing out. And they're like, well, we'll do it. I said, okay. And then we had to rewrite the platform a bit, put it on a new server or something like that, a new site. We changed it, made it more modern, more interesting, more interactive with people. We're adding things to it every week with the great Mark Gleason, who donates his time to developing our tech for us. And now we're starting to actually get donations. We're a real party now. And I think in August, we're going to have somebody going up for election for city council in Alabama.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's the beginning, and we're partnering up with people now who are liberty-minded in an attempt to build that crazy thing you got to build in politics called coalitions. Except we're going to do it different than everybody else. See, we're going to do it without sacrificing our principles. We're going to build principled bridges with people, and people come to us because we are the party of integrity.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Ariana and I follow each other on Twitter. And in September, the weekend of September 28th, I don't remember the exact day, but that was the weekend. I know because it pops up on my phone. You were at the Paracon in Gettysburg, and I went out there to see you. And I was sitting at your booth. You're right next to me. You're signing autographs. And I get this message on Twitter from Ariana, and she says, are you near Mark? And I didn't even know that you knew her. So I said, well, yeah, he's right next to me. And she says, oh, well, something about the party. And that's how I found out that she had kind of taken the reins.
Yeah.
And, I had been in a little bit of touch with Ariana and her husband concerning the party. And then we were all at LibertyCon together, and Alex was trying to talk to me about running for office. And I gave it some thought. And I just realized that, getting out of prison just not even 2.5 years ago, I'm so far behind life on what I need to do to get where I need to go that I just knew that running for office just was not going to cut it. I couldn't do it. I said, I'm sorry, man, I can't. So I go up to my hotel room and I'm in there, and then I get a text from you. And this is maybe 11:30, and it says, are you up? And I said, yeah, I'm up. And you told me, what are your thoughts on being the vice chair of the party? And I said, well, what's that going to entail? Because if it's just going to entail the same thing that running for office was going to, then I couldn't do that either. So I needed to, because I believe in the cause, but I needed to have an idea that I could kind of integrate vice chairing the party and integrate it with my other goals. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. So I asked you, what's this going to take? And you said, well, come down into the lobby. So I went down and we talked it out, and I agreed. And I'm glad I did, by the way. But I would like to know, because we've never really talked about this, what was the conversation like? How did it come up about bringing me into the fold as the co-chair, or vice chair rather. You always say co-chair, but really it's vice chair. So how did that happen?
Am I snafuing every time I say that?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I don't care. It's fine. You elevate me. If you put me down, that'd be bad. But you elevate me to co-chair.
Yeah, so I guess that's a Freudian slip on my part, just because of the way I think of you. So
thank you.
I think of you as a partner. I don't think of you as, like somebody beneath me, but a co-equal, and in some cases superior to me, whom I learn from. So I don't look at it that way. I'm not hierarchical in that sense. And some of the stuff I can't really say publicly. I could definitely tell you.
Fair enough.
But we were just having issues, I think, with the former occupant, and he was just too busy. His schedule wasn't really aligning with the priorities of the party, and we didn't think that he could prioritize the party in the way it needed to be prioritized. But it wasn't just that you were free and he wasn't. So it goes farther than that. Let's see. Wait, this guy isn't free, but who is? No, it goes farther than that. Of course, I had long experience with you, listening to you articulate ideas, watching you debate formidable people and be very formidable yourself, and articulate Ayn Rand's ideas in many respects better than me, who studied them, in a formal fashion for 3 years with objectivist philosophers. So this is one of the reasons I like you so much. You're a totally self-made man. I mean, I know what I know from objectivism because I studied it too, and then went into a course because I was a celebrity. I got a break and got in there and was able to study, just because. And I got exposure to the best minds in objectivism. And you did that all on your own with your partner in the cell, who you were able to reflect off of and think and debate and sort of do peripatetic philosophy. Is that what they call it? Walking the Aristotelian thing where they're walking and talking simultaneously. Yeah. So it's like, I hadn't heard anybody, with the exception of, some of the big hitters in objectivism, articulate the ideas as well as you, and do it in spontaneous situations where extemporaneous speaking is a very difficult thing, for a lot of people. It's an acquired taste. You have to really learn how to do it. But, right out of the box, you do it very well, and you represent the ideas very well, and you're consistent. You're morally consistent, which is something that I think was lacking in the other persons for me. And so you take the fact that you had the time, the fact that you articulate these ideas marvelously, the fact that you understand them inside and out, believe in them inside and out, and have integrity to the principles of objectivism and to the principles of the free market, and would never compromise, made you the prime candidate in my eyes.
Well, thank you. That's quite the endorsement.
I was agreed with. So it was like, here's what I think. What do you guys think? Yes, I think so too. Bang. That was it.
That's great. So, we have our meetings and we discuss what we can do. And I'm thinking of what are my strengths? Where could I be very helpful to the party? Because I'm not tech savvy. I don't know how to do anything tech. I'm very basic. I've just learned. And I'm thinking, well, what can I do? And the thing that I do best is run my mouth, right? I can talk. I can debate well. I can present ideas well. I know that. And my long-term goal is to be successful at this, right? At being a podcast host, so I can both earn a living and advance the ideas that I believe in. And I enjoy it. I enjoy the conversations. So I thought to myself, well, why don't we put out a show every day that promotes the party and promotes our ideas? And, I just threw it out there, and I was amazed how quick you said, yeah, let's do it. And I mean, you're a busy person. I mean, that's, like, in addition to acting, you've got your acting school and you've got your jujitsu that you're very dedicated to. And of course you got Frankie that you're taking care of.
Yeah.
So how was it so easy for you to just say, yeah, let's do it. Let's do I'll commit to a daily talk show. every day at 9 Pacific, noon Eastern.
Yeah, well, one, I love doing this too. I mean, if I could transition from acting to something like this, I probably would. I mean, if I could do this full time, this would be my gig. I love talking politics. I love talking current events, and I love talking philosophy. And I love arguing current events, philosophy, and politics with people. It's sort of my joy. And I do it on the set, not in an irritating, obnoxious way, the way it turns out to be on Twitter, but really, Cody. Okay, Cody has no boundaries.
That's okay.
But in a polite and interesting way. So people actually, change their minds when I'm talking to them on the set, because we're talking to each other face to face, and it's more Socratic, where we're asking each other questions and curious about each other's point of view, and so change happens when you approach things that way. And if I could do this all day, I would. Plus, I think I need reasons to get up in the morning too, and a great reason to get up in the morning is to do something that I love. But then I get to do it with somebody who I think is cool, and I think I have a good chemistry with. So
yeah, we do. It's a good show. The Capitalist Corner is a good show, available on YouTube, live streaming every day, 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern, every weekday, I should say. And, for everybody watching this, you should be watching that. And if you can't catch it live, the reruns are all there on the YouTube site for the Capitalist Corner.
That's right. And you should also check out AmericanCapitalistParty.org. Donate and become a member right now so that you can be a part of the change. Be the change, baby. Don't watch the change.
Yeah. It's interesting because oftentimes this happens to me in life, where I'll commit to something and then I don't know what I'm actually committing to. And it's a lot. Like, to do the daily show, it's not it's not just, hey, let's just get up and start talking. We actually have to do the study, and with the research into the topics we're talking about. And then I got to get up, I got to put it in YouTube, I got to make the thumbnail, and then afterwards I got to download, upload, send this, send that, so it entails quite a bit. I'm just wondering, what's that like for you, fitting this new sort of routine into your daily schedule?
I got to tell you, there's a lot of reading that you have to do when you're doing stuff that we like. And I train a lot. All right. And I just turned 60. But I train, let me just give you an idea of what I do. I train jiu-jitsu every day. And oftentimes, Jean-Jacques Machado, I think, I love the guy, one of the greatest teachers on the face of the earth. Sometimes he just says, we're going to fight 10-minute rounds, or we're going to fight until I say stop. And so you're fighting, and you don't stop fighting for an hour. Now, if anybody's been in a fight at all, most people get an adrenaline dump and they're done in about 30 seconds in a real fight. And you get adrenaline dumps in this, but unless you do it, hundreds of times like I've done, but you get tired. It's exhausting. It's exhausting for anybody who's in real shape. You are drenched to the core. After I do that, I usually try to do an interval training at least 2 or 3 times a week. So interval training to keep my core strong, to keep my heart strong, so that I'm not getting blasted out in these massively long sparring sessions that I do, or rolling sessions. And so that's an incredible amount of training to do. And so when I get home and I go, I got to read this book. I got this book, The Devil and Karl Marx. I gotta read this thing. I start reading it. Frankie curls up next to me, and within 10 minutes, I'm out like a fucking light. It's tough, especially when I have to read scripts. I have to study scripts, or I have to prep a class, because I also teach an acting class out here now on Saturdays. For this Objectivist, Stephen Shub. He's a great guy. He works for ARI now. He's like, hey, I have this friend coming from the Ukraine. She's great. She's an Objectivist. Could you help her find an acting school? So I got her into Playhouse West, and I'm like, look, the school sort of blows now, so I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take you under my wing. I'll be your mentor, but I don't want you, Ukrainian model-esque woman coming over to my house alone. You got to bring classmates who want to rehearse with you. So she brought like 5 people, and 5 people come over to my house now every Saturday, and they train, and I help them. And sometimes I actually work out with them. I do exercises with them as a way of demonstrating, the proper way to do things. And those classes go for 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours. And and they are wider than just talking about acting. Since acting is the everything art, we wind up talking about philosophy. We wind up talking about values. We wind up talking about all kinds of things, in addition to the technique. So I'm doing that too. And then I got to go back to Paris and help my wife, because she's drowning in work over there. If you think I'm busy, she's editing the film that she wrote in 3 weeks and then directed. We had to go through a legal battle with it, with folks over there that she had to go through. And she's teaching 3 or 4 classes a week by herself, including an acting or a writing seminar, which I took this Saturday morning. It's phenomenal. And she's doing that all by herself. So I have to get out there at some point when I'm done with this, with shooting Murdoch, and try to relieve her a little bit and teach some classes, which is not really it's a vacation for me. Teaching is like my love. I really love it. So for me, it's like vacation. For other people, it's work. This is like my love too. It's like vacation. It's not like work.
Yeah, once this comes, I agree. I love this. I could do this all day long. It's all the other stuff that I dislike about it. But I mean, in life, you have to do what you don't like so that you can do what you like. So we've been doing the show now. Tomorrow will be our 20th episode. Well, by the time this is out, it'll probably be today will be our 20th episode. But
I thought today was 18. So tomorrow will be 19.
Oh, geez. Maybe, I don't know. I'm confused. Maybe whatever. It's going to be 1920. We'll figure it all out when we need to. But I'm just like, what is it? How does it compare for you to do the show, the daily show that we do, where, we're interacting with the audience, we're interacting with one another. What is that like for you? And how does it compare to other similar shows that you've been on? I'm not saying in terms of better or worse, just in terms of similarities and differences.
I mean, I think it's great because we have our chemistry and our interaction that makes the show exciting because we like it. I think other people like it. I have that perspective. I don't know if it's objectively true, but I think if I'm into something as an actor, you're going to be into it watching me if I'm into it, right? And if two people are really, jiving off each other and having fun doing what they're doing, you're going to have fun listening to it and watching it. That's just sort of the way it works. And, a lot of shows like to focus on the entertainment aspect of my life. They like to focus on the shows that I've done that people really like. And that's cool. I like talking about that stuff. And some of it's important in a way, right? I like the fact that some of the shows that I've done have helped people through really traumatic times in their life, or overcome a physical difficulty or an emotional difficulty. It helps me see the value of entertainment, and especially entertainment like, say, Supernatural, where it's very heroic in nature. The guys are rebellious, they have great virtues, and they even fight God, right? They go against the universe if they have to, if it's the right thing to do. And I think when you're in trouble emotionally and you see something like that, these unwavering dudes who just, scared or not, they make it happen. That's an inspirational thing. And so I'm very happy that I've been a part of work that, gives people value. But I think this is just so much more. It's so much more valuable in the world, right? When you think about when I question actors, and I go back even 30 years, do you know this actor? Do you know that actor? The young actors look at me like I have 3 heads. And I realize that, my God, an actor, even if they've won an Academy Award or 2 Academy Awards, will likely go out of your consciousness if you don't see them for more than 5 years. And you'll never remember them. And the guys who are matinee stars, like idols in the 20s, nobody today knows who they are. Now, some of them are buried in Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And you can go there in the summer times and watch horror movies and fun movies on the sides of crypts and everything. And if you're a Hollywood nut, you can go, oh, there's Rudolph Valentino. But who will remember him or his movies today? Not many folks. But you know what lives on and on and on? Philosophers, thinkers, the people who, the movers and shakers of society, the people who give us ideas and propagate the right ideas, hopefully. Those guys, they live and live and live. Aristotle's been alive for human beings for over 2,000 years. All right, Marlon Brando, barely anybody remembers who he is, and he's not even cold in his grave. And he was the greatest cinematic actor of all time.
That astounds me. You were telling me that the actors today, you know, millennial actors, I guess we'd call them, don't even remember who Rod Steiger is.
Correct.
And that to me is stunning.
They don't.
What do you think explains that? Is it, I mean, first of all, is it a bad thing? Because oftentimes people talk about, like I hear people say, these kids nowadays don't even know how to write cursive. And I'm thinking, well, they don't need to. Like it's that stuff. Those things are human tools.
I think they do. I think they do for brain development and coordination. To be honest with you, I think it does do something for hand-eye coordination.
I don't know, because then you've got like the people say that the kids nowadays don't know how to count coins and use change. But when I was a kid, I don't know how to change a horseshoe. I mean, you know what I mean? Like in the 1800s, they had to know how to change horseshoes and do a variety of things, count their money in terms of gold rather than in terms of bills. So I just think there's some things that we think are necessary, but better things replace them. But what I want to know is, in the terms of knowing these actors, is it a bad thing that a modern actor wouldn't know who a Rod Steiger is?
It's a faux pas. I mean, it's a bad thing in the sense that you're dealing with somebody who doesn't know or care about the history of the industry that they're in. Now, I would just point people to a very good documentary that came out on Prime recently. I don't remember the title of it, but it's about Led Zeppelin, the founding of Led Zeppelin. And I think it's like 2 long episodes. And Jimmy Page pretty much founded Led Zeppelin from the Yardbirds. After the Yardbirds broke up, he founded them. And when you listen to this guy talk, you think he's just an English guy who played the guitar. That's all he is. You know, what's the fucking bloody deal? He is fucking brilliant. I mean, he produced those albums. He was a session musician before that. And when you hear him talk about music, he talks about his influences, and they're incredibly deep and versatile. Right. And that's why he was able to produce on the level he was able to produce. And most of the actors that I know who are good actors are fairly knowledgeable about the business, not just the business. The business is a different thing, but they're fairly knowledgeable about the craft and the seminal actors in the craft and how they advanced the craft. I think that's super important for an actor to know. And the fact that they don't have this pedigree in them, it tells me that their roots aren't very deep. I'll tell you what, I went to Athens for my honeymoon, and I sat in the Temple Dionysus, which was the very first place that they started doing festivals, like the spring festivals, which became eventually the forums for acting, right? Thespis was one of the best at presenting these festivals that would eventually become competitions in tragedy and competitions in comedy that became acting as we know it. And I sat in this amphitheater where Socrates sat, where Thespis sat, where he performed, and I felt a deep-rooted connection to something that I love to do. I felt its origins. And the fact that kids are rootless today, that sort of, you know, it may not hurt them in the sense that, yeah, they could probably still act and maybe act very well, but they're missing something. You know, they're missing a part of the human experience that can make them deeper people, especially if they know that, you know, matinee idols in 1920 are unremembered today by the common man. Shit, people I worked with who won Academy Awards, my friends from high school don't even know who they are. So there's something to that makes me feel like, you know, if more actors knew that, they would have a greater sense of themselves. And I don't mean humility, because I hate the term humility.
Me too.
But perspective, like perspective. You know, because I think some of them have an outsized perspective of what and who they are. what and who they are is very famous right now and very forgettable in 15 years. And that's okay. That's okay. Embrace that. But I think that's one of the reasons some of these folks try to take on politics, like we are, but for different reasons, because they feel like, well, maybe I'm not doing something that's that valuable in the world. And I want to feel like I'm doing something valuable in the world. So I'm going to do this. I just do it because I love it. I love ideas and I love grappling with ideas. And I don't get to grapple with great ideas in most of the work that I do.
That idea that you talked about, this sort of connection to the past. I remember going to a few places because I had never really been anywhere prior to going to prison. But since I've been out, I've gone to where the Battle of Bunker Hill took place, and the Lexington battlefield, and the Battle of Gettysburg took place. And I ate where George Washington said goodbye to the troops. And for me, it's just the I don't know. It's like this feeling. It's like, wow, the history, what took place here, what happened in here that shaped the history of the world and ultimately shaped my life and who I am as a human being, as an American. It's a phenomenal feeling. So I think I don't think I agree with you. I think you're right. All right. So before I let you go, I really got to ask you this. 5 years from now, where do you see the American Capitalist Party? Where do you see the Capitalist Corner?
Well, 5 years from now, I see us having someone in the Senate. So I see us being dominant in at least one state. And I see Capitalist Corner having its own studio that we can actually, a brick and mortar place that we could actually go to and work in. And invite guests to, and people are going to be thronging to be a part of our show in the way that they're thronging to be a part of, Tucker Carlson or the crazy Candace Owens today, or even Gad Saad. I mean, when Gad Saad was just growing up in this world, I went on his show. I went on Dave Rubin's show. I went on all these guys' shows who are now huge. And I knew they were going to be big. I knew Gad Saad was going to catch on somehow. But we have a different task than Gad has. Gad more or less agrees with conservative culture. And he basically what he preaches is as great as it is, as articulate, as witty, as satirical as he is. I mean, he's such a wonderful guy and so talented, such a great wordsmith. He's still not saying anything new, but he's rebelling against the leftist establishment, which is what people want to see. I think lots of people, even on the left, want to see the leftist establishment go because it's so crazy. But we have a different task because we are rebels in the true sense of the term. I mean, we don't agree with the dominant ethics that everybody else seems to think is self-evident. We say, no, it's not so self-evident. And it's what's breaking everything apart. It's what you're basing your entire systems on and why they're dying as we speak, right? And so we have to convince them that our values, yes, buddy, you have to learn boundaries. We have to convince them that our values are better than the values they're adopting now. And those values have been dominant for a couple of thousand years. So we have a big task ahead of us. So to say 5 years we're going to be in a brick and mortar place like a Joe Rogan and have a studio like that, I think we can do it. I think we have the charisma. I think we have the capacity to articulate ideas like that. And then imagine us with producers behind us who can do research in depth so we can have all of that information at the tips of our fingers every second. That will take it up to number 11.
Yeah, a little tech support would go huge, right? Because we don't know what we're doing.
We're passionate and we have a lot of ideas. And look how Cody just stares at me.
Yes,
he's like, he gives me the. He's like, I want my lunch. It's
all right. So tell everybody where to find it. Where to find it. You got the American Capitalist Party. You've got your own website. We got the Capitalist Corner. Promote it all.
I'm gonna promote it all. Yeah, I haven't done a reality check in a while, but I'm probably going to get back to those at some point in the future when I can. But you can go to my YouTube channel and check out the reality checks. I think many of them hold up even today. You can follow me on Mark R. Pellegrino. The check mark, please, because there's lots of imitators out there on X. And argue with me or don't talk with me. I'm open to all of it. You can follow me on Mark Ross Pelly, the check mark on Instagram. If you want dog pictures and just what I'm doing now, that's the uncomplicated page of my life. You can watch us on Capitalist Corner every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to talk about current events from a capitalist perspective. Tomorrow we're going to be taking Q&A. So if you're going to come watch us on Friday, make sure you have your questions. Ask the chairman and the vice chair. And that feels funny saying that.
Just say co-chair. I'll take it. I'll accept.
Co-chair. The chairman and the co-chair ask us anything and almost anything, and we will answer. And what else do I have? That's it. That's all I got.
That's enough. That's great. Thanks a lot, Mark, for taking the time to do this. I know you are incredibly busy.
Thanks, man. It's always fun.
For now, this is the Rational Egoist. Remember, keep tuning in. Till next time.